and Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it?
The Chicago forward launched a ferocious swipe. Her limbs sliced through the air with terrifying velocity, aiming to swat the basketball yet finding an entirely different target. She struck neither leather nor collarbone, slamming directly against her rival's skull. The sheer smack of the impact sent audible shockwaves echoing across the horrified spectators. Time completely suspended itself for a heartbeat. Athletes halted dead in their tracks while the arena fell into breathless silence, pierced only by the referee's sharp trill. Officials rushed into the fray without hesitation, though the heavy atmosphere betrayed the truth. This incident was far beyond a routine defensive collision. A powder keg sat ready to detonate, fueled by deep-seated history rather than spontaneous rage. Long before the opening tip-off, an immense pressure hovered over the entire matchup. These two extraordinary athletes existed as far more than mere competitors sharing a hardwood floor. They stood as the absolute epicenter of the sport's most fiercely debated, intensely scrutinized modern blood feud. Their bitter rivalry ignited during collegiate days beneath blinding tournament spotlights, featuring ultimate trophies and spectacular exchanges that captivated a global audience. Iconic taunts, massive news stories, and fiercely divided loyalties ensured neither warrior ever retreated. Ascending into the professional ranks only amplified their deeply entrenched, inescapable animosity. Therefore, the clash between Indiana and Chicago transcended the boundaries of an ordinary professional sporting exhibition. Admission costs skyrocketed instantly. Digital platforms erupted into chaotic chatter hours prior to the contest, while pundits argued relentlessly over every conceivable narrative. Spectators passionately clashed over predictions. A blinding, undeniable glare of anticipation consumed the stadium long before the athletes even laced up their sneakers. Right from the initial buzzer, the Indiana prodigy competed with a profound comprehension of the monumental stakes. She showcased zero reluctance, completely bypassing any early-game jitters. Securing possession meant an immediate, lethal assault, carving through defensive formations and converting near the basket with the polished grace of a seasoned veteran. Her performance radiated absolute mastery rather than simple swagger. Instead of easing into the flow, she ruthlessly hijacked the rhythm of the entire contest. The initial breathtaking sequence materialized swiftly. A flawless perimeter pick provided the slimmest margin of separation, offering a perilous sliver of freedom. Elevating with liquid speed, she released a majestic perimeter shot. The leather ripped through the nylon meshes with absolute terrifying certainty. Racking up 7 markers in the opening frame established her total dominion over the tempo. Yet, her transformative impact extended vastly beyond mere offensive production. Transitioning flawlessly, the guard dissected opposing schemes rather than forcing bad attempts, luring defenders before whipping pinpoint distributions through impossibly narrow gaps. The entire scoring apparatus funneled through her brilliant orchestration. Floor positioning expanded beautifully, maximizing every inch of the hardwood. Execution peaked with razor-thin precision. Every movement felt organic rather than manufactured, shifting the battle's momentum entirely as the opposing force prepared a brutal response. The Chicago powerhouse unleashed her trademark bruising brand of basketball, dominating opponents with unyielding, punishing aggression. She commanded the interior territory, warring fiercely for every loose ball. Each trip down the court devolved into brutal combat, punishing anyone who dared invade the restricted area. Hostilities between the two squads escalated at a creeping pace before boiling over completely. An ominous, explosive aura saturated the suffocating atmosphere. The inevitable eruption finally arrived deep into the third period. The sharpshooter launched another relentless, full-throttle downhill assault straight into the teeth of the defense. Observers anticipated another dominant, hard-nosed conversion near the glass. Out of the shadows, the defensive anchor aggressively shifted her massive presence. Unleashing a vicious defensive swipe meant to reject the attempt, her mighty swing completely bypassed the leather, violently clashing against her rival's skull with undeniable force. Spectators required 0 slow-motion angles to realize a catastrophic collision had just occurred. The official's siren shrieked through the tension without a millisecond of delay. Initially labeled a standard violation, absolutely no one present accepted that trivial ruling. Athletes, crowds, and broadcasters alike understood the grim reality of the brutal blow. The adjudicators marched toward the replay screens, plunging the massive stadium into an eerie, suffocating hush. A chilling stillness blanketed the crowd as thousands of eyes locked onto the giant jumbotron, dreading the visual verification of a deeply disturbing strike. Digital footage looped mercilessly. The pristine camera perspective laid bare the terrifying windup, the brutal connection, and the devastating aftermath, erasing any lingering shred of doubt. Authorities swiftly escalated the penalty to a severe, unsportsmanlike infraction. In an instant, the confrontation morphed from a mere sporting exhibition into bitter warfare. Intense interrogations immediately sparked across the venue. Was the action driven by mere clumsiness, or was it the violent manifestation of mounting rage? Suspicion of malicious intent lingered heavily. The imposing forward boasted a reputation for surgical precision, elite spatial awareness, and absolute poise amidst violent scuffles beneath the rim. Elite athletes, possessing such profound physical mastery, rarely execute defensive maneuvers with such catastrophic inaccuracy. Consequently, chaos erupted instantaneously. Half the stadium rained down furious jeers while defenders screamed back, as players across the court traded deeply concerning glares. The arena's entire vibe morphed into a hostile powder keg. Meanwhile, cyberspace absolutely melted down as high-definition highlights proliferated globally in a matter of heartbeats. Broadcasting networks secured their massive morning talking points. An already legendary athletic feud mutated into a dangerously vindictive, incredibly intimate crusade. Yet, amidst the deafening roar and swirling controversy, the battered prodigy delivered an astoundingly stoic response. She completely refused to engage in petty, emotional bickering. Her concentration remained utterly unbreakable, ignoring the theatrical temptations around her. Striding toward the charity stripe, she radiated an icy, unshakable tranquility. That profound display of composure signaled a massive paradigm shift. Observers instantly realized this vicious clash was merely the prologue to a much grander epic. Anchoring herself at the stripe while venomous shouting rained down, she sank both penalty attempts effortlessly. Lacking any dramatic flair, it was simply a masterpiece of ruthless precision. With those two flawless strokes, her squad surged into the dominant position. However, the true significance of the night lay hidden in the immediate aftermath. Rather than faltering or allowing that jarring impact to rattle her focus, the prodigy appeared exceptionally lethal. Her intensity multiplied, demonstrating a fierce concentration utterly absent prior to the collision. An undeniable switch activated during those closing third-quarter moments. The superstar seized absolute command, securing 9 points within mere minutes. Completely poised, she orchestrated each offensive drive with calculated precision. Exploiting defensive vulnerabilities ruthlessly, the guard launched jumpers with unwavering boldness while actively summoning crucial touches. The transformation remained undeniably evident. That violent encounter never derailed her momentum. Rather, it ignited an unstoppable inferno. As the surrounding arena erupted into deafening chaos and mounting pressure, the sharpshooter retreated into a chillingly calm, laser-focused state of accuracy. Such composure distinguishes mere talents from genuine legends. Ordinary athletes react, whereas elite competitors elevate. Meanwhile, Angel Reese began spiraling into disarray. Brutal physical altercations persisted relentlessly. Yet, the momentum of the contest suddenly began punishing those overly aggressive tactics. The opposing forward accumulated a fourth infraction, rapidly followed by a devastating fifth penalty. Abruptly banished from dominating the interior, she remained trapped on the sidelines as an agonizing spectator. While Reese battled penalty woes, Clark mercilessly dictated the tempo. Suddenly, a completely unforeseen sequence materialized on the hardwood. During the dying minutes, Chicago desperately engineered breathing room. A screen materialized and the shooter elevated, appearing unguarded until the superstar vehemently refused the bypass route. Powering through the obstacle, the defender shadowed her target flawlessly, synchronizing her leap to swat the attempt clean. Far beyond a fortunate graze or minor disruption, it was an authoritative rejection. Instantly, the guard silenced the harshest skeptics questioning her defensive capabilities. She provided no verbal justifications nor empty promises, purely delivering through phenomenal execution before aggressively continuing her onslaught. Snatching the deflected leather, the playmaker accelerated instantly, seamlessly transforming a spectacular defensive stop into a lethal fast break strike. Executing a lightning-fast screen action, she delivered a surgical dish culminating in an effortless layup. Pure dominance established, setting the stage for an unforgettable dagger. With victory hanging precariously and seconds melting away, suffocating anxiety blanketed the arena, radiating intensely through every television display. Wrapping tightly around Boston's solid blockade, the sniper faded past the perimeter boundary, collected the sphere fluidly, and ascended into her shooting form. Devoid of doubt, she launched a towering trajectory, the mesmerizing type of release that naturally forces spectators onto their feet long before gravity takes over. Time seemingly paused for a breathless heartbeat. Instantly, nylon swished gracefully, prompting an ear-shattering eruption from the ecstatic stands. Pivoting immediately while unleashing a ferocious battle cry, the phenom absorbed the frenzied atmosphere. It transcended a simple triple. It was a brutal declaration. Amidst maximum adversity, her hunger for the final possession remains unmatched, consistently culminating in jaw-dropping clutch execution. As the concluding horn echoed, the illuminated display confirmed a 91-83 triumph. Indiana secured yet another victory, violently etching a fresh episode into this escalating feud. However, the underlying statistics painted a much grander masterpiece. The point guard concluded with 23 points, 9 assists, and 8 boards. Adding 2 rejections, she comprehensively saturated every measurable category, effectively dictating the entire matchup from tip-off until the concluding whistle. Such an extraordinary display defies logic. Absolutely zero first-year professionals across women's basketball history have ever manifested comparable metrics during a high-stakes collision. Never beneath such glaring spotlights, nor amidst such suffocating expectations. This transcended mere media exaggeration entirely. It represented undeniable, historic output. Conversely, Angel Reese refused any post-game concessions. Openly challenging the officials, she defended her aggressive tactics and criticized the referee's overwhelming influence on the outcome. Immediately, public discourse amplified to deafening levels, with numerous observers arguing the physical encounter severely breached acceptable boundaries. Defending factions dismissed it as standard athletic hostility. This precise polarization defines their unique antagonism. It remains perpetually gritty and unapologetically raw. Devoid of subtlety, the feud radiates pure physicality and emotional warfare, rapidly dividing fans. Still, an overarching truth remains paramount in this narrative. That defining sequence transcended a singular rule violation, or a simple collision. The true significance lay in the immediate aftermath, because right then, when destiny might have unraveled disastrously amid raging sentiments and blinding scrutiny, the superstar adamantly refused to surrender her composure. Instead, she violently seized command. Such psychological fortitude alters public perception entirely, proving that the retaliation matters far more than the initial blow. Consequently, future clashes between these specific squads will permanently harbor an underlying animosity, fueled by the lingering echoes of this exact showdown. This animosity exhibits zero signs of fading. Rather, it has genuinely mutated into an all-out war. Thus, a singular inquiry hangs heavy over everything. Did a routine athletic maneuver merely misfire tragically, or did something far more sinister transpire? Audiences are left pondering that exact mystery indefinitely.